Hello and welcome to the Vale This week from Bro Radio. On tonight's programme, with a countdown on to the Senedd election on the 7th of May, Oliver Perry has been out in Barry finding out about some of the key issues facing voters. We'll also hear from Huw David, second list candidate for Welsh Labour in the Penybont Bro Morganwg constituency, about some of the issues facing the party. Barry Action for Nature are continuing their calls for the Old Harbour site to be designated a nature reserve. We'll hear from Rob Curtis about the area and why it's a site of significance for nature. Penarth Pier Pavilion has announced its cinema will go full-time from this month with 15 screenings over 5 days each week. With a busy schedule for the Easter holidays, Gareth Richards sat down with cinematic events assistant Max Martin to find out more about developments. And residents in Llantwit Major are being encouraged to support a one-week campaign to make Llantwit Major look even brighter. Edward Huw headed to Llantwit Major to hear more about the one-week boost campaign, with some of the organisers and local residents looking to get involved. All that plus a roundup of news, sports and events here in the Vale of Glamorgan. But first, there are now 7 weeks to go until the Senedd election, with 36 new politicians, a new voting system, and the departure of many members who've been part of government since the start of devolution. Things are set to be very different come the 8th of May, and that's all before you consider a shift in voting intentions. Soon, Oliver Perry will speak to Huw David, second list candidate for Welsh Labour in Penybont Bro Morganwg. But first, he headed to Halton Road to hear more about the key issues facing local people ahead of May 7th.
Over the past 27 years of a devolved Welsh government, there has only been one party in power, that being Welsh Labour. From Alan Michael to Eleanor Morgan, the most dominant party colour in the Senedd has always been red. But could that be about to change? Despite the landslide win for the Labour Party in the last Westminster election of 2 years ago, both the English and Welsh Labour parties have seen a fall in support. Polling is currently seeing support for Welsh Labour at 20%, with Plaid Cymru 9 points behind and Reform 7 points clear. Furthermore, the electoral process is undergoing a dramatic shift, with expanding constituencies, the removal of regional seats, and 36 new MSs to be elected to the Welsh Senedd, leading to more uncertainty than ever about the expected makeup of Welsh politics after the 7th of May. We went to Halton Road in Barry to ask people about the issues that matter the most to them, and the parties on their minds with 50 days to go before going to the polls. We first spoke with Tara, who works for a local drama school, where she raised concerns over a wealth gap that she claims is being created by the current Welsh Government.
There's a lot great within the Vale. I love the parks. I think they're really well maintained. Love High Street. I do think Halton Road has gone to the dogs, and I'd love to see that improved.
Do you have much trust in the current Welsh Labour government?
It's ever decreasing, in fairness. Used to be a huge Labour supporter, and I'm very much on the fence. And I still got a lot of good to say about Jane Hurts. I think she's a great person. I think she's trying to do her best for Barry. Just not sure how tied her hands are.
And what's the biggest issue for you personally going into this election?
I think it's just the inequality between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-not. It's 2026, shouldn't be like that anymore. We should be more equal as human beings.
And what are your current thoughts going into election over parties at the moment?
You know, I think I'm just jumping on the Green bandwagon at the minute because that's been a really inspiring story. Not Pravage, we cannot bring Trump into this country and not America, but I'm going Green.
Voters considering parties to the left of Labour were apparent during our time on Halton Road. We met Claudia, who's seen a decline in the quality of life in the Vale, leading to her considering alternative parties to Welsh Labour.
I've lived here for 11, 12 years this year, and it's got worse, 100%. I don't have trust in Labour, full stop. This is the first time I won't be voting for Labour, and the last general election was the first time I didn't vote for Labour in the wider election as well, unfortunately.
So what are your biggest issues coming into this election?
Coming into this election locally, I think, just to have more pride in our area. There is so much dog mess, there's so much litter, antisocial behaviour. It really isn't the Barry that I moved into. There's all this money being put into the waterfront, and it feels like us, in the docks in Cadoxton and Gibby, all forgotten. We're not really relevant, we're not bringing in the money.
So what's your feeling going into this election?
Me, it'll be Green or Lib Dem. I know there sometimes people will say maybe a way, but they have historically said is a wasted vote. It will not be Conservative, it will not be Reform, and it will not be Labour.
Among many shifting towards more alternative parties are on the left of Labour, there also appears to be a shift towards a more populist right in the shape of Reform. Noel is a mechanic working on machines at Barry Island, who was less than satisfied by some of Welsh Labour's more progressive policies.
Do you have much trust in the current Welsh Labour government?
I've always voted Labour all my life, but I can't vote for them ever again. Say they'd have to go back to the traditional value, kind of technically ditch all the woke crap that they are genuinely pushing out. It's not just them. Plaid Cymru has started doing a little bit. Democrats have always done it. And the Greens, well, they're the joke anyway. If I had to vote for one, it would be Reform, because I'd never vote Conservative, because I grew up with Thatcher, I grew up with a Tory recession, I'd grown up with no work, unemployment in an area, like up in the valleys I used, and we were just left the Ross. And so the Tories, I would never give them an inch.
We reached out to Huw David, a Welsh Labour candidate for the Penybont Bro Morganwg constituency, to ask him about the big issues many in the Vale have coming into this election and how the party plans to stop voters defecting elsewhere. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and why you're putting yourself forward for this election?
So I've lived in the new constituency all my life. I've been a county councillor for 20 years. I'm very committed to public service, and I want to make a difference to our communities. I know I can make that difference. I want to be the voice for Penybont Bro Morganwg in the Senedd.
And if you were elected, what would you and the Welsh Labour Party do to improve the lives of people in Bridgend and the Vale of Glamorgan?
So obviously we're entering a new chapter now. Wales is beginning a new chapter, and our focus will be on jobs and economic security, particularly energy security, and particularly now with what's happening across the world. We want an energy independent Wales. We want to create clean, green energy that will not only help keep energy bills down, but also will create high-skilled jobs across Penybont Bro Morganwg and across Wales. That will be one of our priorities. Another priority for us is tackling the cost of living. We know that's an issue for most people across the constituency, and we want to introduce policies like the £2 cap on bus fares to help with that cost of living, and expand childcare and create thousands of new places to support working families, because we know for lots of families childcare can be the biggest bill, and we want to make it affordable for people and free if we can as well. And of course the NHS will always be a priority for Welsh Labour. We created the NHS here in Wales, and we want to invest in it. So we plan a £4 billion record investment in new hospitals. That is across Wales, including North Wales and West Wales, but of course most importantly for people here in the Vale of Glamorgan and Bridgend are the plans for a brand new replacement hospital for the University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff. So the funding has been identified. It will be prioritised, that £4 billion investment in new hospitals, and we'll work with our health boards to make that vision a reality.
So as you were saying earlier with the aspect of cost of living, where we went to the streets yesterday, we did find out was one of the biggest issues. Another one was like the massive wealth divide, with the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. What would the Welsh Labour Party do to help tackle that divide?
Childcare is really important for people, because it enables people to get back into work, to stay in work, to get better jobs. Affordable childcare is something that we're very focused on. We also want to make it easier for people to get to work with policies like the £2 cap on bus fares and 100 new bus routes across Wales. We want to create those new jobs in the new industries of the future. Clean green energy can and will create jobs across the constituency. And of course, we will always invest in education. I'm really excited about the progress of the new college campus in Barry, because that's about equipping our young people with the skills, with the qualifications for them to secure those high-skilled, better-paid jobs. That will help narrow the gap between the poorest and the richest in society. And of course, we'll work with the UK government as well. And the UK government have introduced policies like the end of the cap for child benefit, and that is lifting thousands of children out of poverty across the constituency.
We have, when we were on the streets, we have a lot of people saying about how they're lifelong Labour voters and now they're looking towards reform, and you have another group of lifelong Labour voters who are now looking at Green. Can the Labour Party successfully attract both people who are looking at different parties from very opposite ends of the political spectrum?
I think we can, because whilst the policies, some policies of the opposition parties may be attractive, what we need to remember is that neither of those parties have a track record. They certainly haven't got a track record in Wales. And when we have, for example, reform councillors across the border in England, we've seen record hikes in council tax when they've pledged to keep council tax low. So it's easy, isn't it, when you're in opposition to make all sorts of pledges and promises. When you're actually in power, that's more difficult. And I think when people will be voting for the National Government of Wales in May, they will be thinking about who has the experience of actually leading a country and who has credible policies, costed policies, affordable policies, and they'll want to know from their candidates, from their political parties, how is that going to be? How is that going to be funded, and what are you going to prioritise? And we're confident within Welsh Labour that we will have, and we've got a costed, affordable, but ambitious manifesto for the people of Wales. And the risk for people is that we have, I would say it's a risk that we have a Conservative reform coalition in Cardiff. And I don't think that is what the majority of the people of Wales want. They do not want a reform Conservative coalition government in Wales. They want a party that has progressive values, that believes in fairness, that believes in prioritising and protecting our NHS, that believes in jobs and a fairer economy for all. And that is what they will have if they vote Labour. And the risk for people who are considering other political parties, including the Green Party, is that they will let a reform in by voting for other political parties. We believe that we are the best option for people who support our NHS, who want to tackle the cost of living and want that new chapter for Wales.
With, as you're saying earlier, with other oppositions causing a fight and how you don't want to have a Reform Conservative coalition, if the Labour government was to form a coalition, was to be, let's say, a minority party in the Senedd, would you consider a coalition with any other parties, such as the Greens, such as Plaid Cymru, such as Liberal Democrats?
Our focus at the moment is on winning the election. Our focus will be on our policies, our values, our priorities. So that will be something for the new Labour group to consider. But our focus is on winning that election. We've got 2 months ahead of us, and they're going to be very busy. And we're going to talk to as many people as possible. But our ambition will be to secure a Welsh Labour government, because we are determined that we protect our NHS, that we tackle the cost of living, and we get those jobs in that we need for the future.
With the dissatisfaction we found about the Labour government among people in the Vale and across Wales, many are defector parties on the left and right, and it's currently appearing to be one of the largest shake-ups in Welsh politics since the start of devolution.
Right, now let's take a look at some of the top local news stories over the past 7 days. Here with more is Kay McMahon.
A police operation in Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan last week saw 32 people arrested. These arrests included alleged shoplifters and violent offenders, as well as those with outstanding warrants. Since then, 4 people have been charged and a further 3 people have been convicted in an operation which aimed to bring wanted people into custody. A total of 32 people, including 8 on suspicion of theft from a shop, 3 on suspicion of assault, 3 on suspicion of a fray, and 2 on suspicion of domestic-related offences, were arrested during the day of intensification. Residents have banded together to oppose the inclusion of a beloved green space in the council's long-term plan for housing. The area, known locally as Bryn Melyn, has been included in the Vale of Glamorgan Council's replacement local development plan. Bryn Melyn is located between St Athan Road and Windmill Lane in Cowbridge, with the group prominent in opposing its inclusion. Meanwhile, residents in Dinas Powers have banded together to stop the potential development of an area of green field. The site, a green space adjoining Cardiff Road in the area, has been earmarked in the Vale of Glamorgan Council's deposit replacement local development plan for 250 new homes. One member of the community, Christine Drury, said that she was concerned that they will lose the identity of their village and claims that the plans are slowly taking over all green spaces. From Monday the 13th of April 2026, households across the Vale will be able to recycle soft plastics within their weekly blue bag collections. The announcement from the Vale of Glamorgan Council comes on the back of a successful trial where more than 16,000 houses in Penarth, Dinas, Sully and Llandog and surrounding areas took part. The council says the new service will help it to recycle even more waste and reduce the amount going into black bags, supporting its Vale 2030 ambitions. Residents will receive a roll of blue bags to put their soft plastics into before putting them into their larger blue plastic recycling bag on collection day. And congratulations to Griffin Books in Penarth, as it's been named the best bookshop in Wales. Based on Windsor Road in the seaside town, Griffin Books will go on to compete against 8 other shops from across the UK to be crowned the overall independent bookshop of the year at the British Book Awards in May. Whittled down from 9 finalists across Wales announced last month, the overall winner, who'll be announced at the Grosvenor House in May, will receive a cheque for £5,000 from Gardeners and will go on to compete for Book Retailer of the Year.
You're listening to The Vale This week on Bro Radio. An action group in Barry is continuing its call for a piece of land stretching from the Nap to Barry Island to become a local nature reserve. The Old Harbour site is a significant site for a number of key species, with Barry Action for Nature stating that the creation of a local nature reserve, along with public education, will help to protect at-risk species on the site. Rob Curtis is part of Barry Action for Nature, who led on the petition and joins us now. Rob, for anyone who doesn't know about the Barry Old Harbour, the saltwater marsh, tell us a bit about this space.
Most people in Barry would recognise this space. It's as you drive along the causeway to Barry Island, and on the right-hand side, as you're going towards Barry Island, you'll see the Old Harbour, and it's always been a patch of mud and grasses, saltwater grasses, and I suppose I'm just as guilty as anyone else. For years, I've just passed it and just thought it was a bit of a ugly mess and not particularly valuable. But as I've grown older and I've learned a lot more about nature and about conservation and about the natural world, I realise now that little piece of saltwater marsh that's out there is a vital resource for some of our red-listed wader birds that feed and rest up on that saltwater marsh. And one thing that we've learned is that we're losing a lot of our nature. Wales, especially, is the worst in the UK, and the UK is one of the worst countries in the world for losing its natural nature. And we're trying our hardest to reverse that decline. And to do that, then we go and make places for nature. So I've put up a petition to try and declare the Old Harbour a local nature reserve.
You mentioned some of the species there that are resting and feeding at that site. Why is that site a site that's attracting those type of species particularly?
Well, saltwater marsh is one of the rarest habitats in the UK. As we build on our coastline, whether it's housing, whether it's harbours, we create a hard structure. So rather than the sea flooding in and flooding back out, allowing these saltwater marshes in which there's loads of food for wading birds, and we've taken that habitat away. So there's small spaces like this that could be set aside, are really so important, and especially with the Old Harbour, because there's many thousands, hundreds of thousands of wading birds that come down during the winter, and they feed off the mudflats in the upper Severn. Well, when the tide comes in, that means that resource is covered, and one of the last places to be covered with the tide is places like the Old Harbour, the saltwater marsh. So these birds need a place to keep on retreating to, and their last rid out really is upon places like the Old Harbour, and they'll rest and they'll have a feed, and then as the tide goes back out, they'll go back into the estuary. So that's why it's so vital for these species like the curlew and the oyster catchers and redshank. All these are wonderful birds. Sometimes you don't even notice they're there because their camouflage is so well. But if you had a good pair of binoculars, I challenge anyone to go down to the edge of the Old Harbour there and spend an hour there, and you'll see so many birds feeding that you don't even realise it's there.
And you've launched this petition around a year ago now. It's got 600 signatures. Tell us about that response you've had from the local community to the campaign so far.
Well, it's more than a year. It's probably about two years that I launched a petition. But members of Barry Action for Nature have been walking around the Old Harbour collecting signatures. So we got a hard copy and we got the online copy, and we're probably approaching 900 signatures now with the online copy as well. It's been an excellent response, because once you tell people about why it's so important, then they back you. And when you think it's usually people walk straight past it, but once they realise how important it is, they actually stop, look at it, and realise that it's a valuable a biosystem for these amazing birds.
And the campaign's also seen some strong support from local councillors of all political parties, really, including those on the scrutiny committee, and also the council's cabinet considered the petition last week as well, and looking for a more complete report to be able to take things forward. Why do you think that declaring a local nature reserve at Barry's Old Harbour is so key, and why it's been able to receive support from all political parties?
Well, as I said earlier, I think there's growing knowledge that our natural world is in decline, and many of the species are in decline. Just the curlew, we could lose the curlew from Wales within the next 5 years as a breeding bird. And that is so important. The curlew is an amazing looking bird. It's got one of the longest beaks in the bird world. And its call is a mesmerizing call. If I ask any of your listeners to listen to a curlew calling, and it'll send a shiver around your back. And it's one of those species that is just adds to our lives, and that's why I think there's so much support, because people walk past there, they'll see a shellduck out there, they'll see oyster catchers, they'll see redshank, birds that you can never normally see in any urban environment. And yet on the doorstep in Barry, between Barry itself and Barry Island, you've got this wonderful small space that can be kept as a local nature reserve. And I know with the report there was concerns about the costs, but the costs of this would be quite small compared to the benefits to the natural world, because you don't have to create fences, you don't have to have wardens for it. In fact, it just runs itself. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. That's all you need. But what it does need, because I've noticed over the last few years, is that there's dog walkers walking along the beach, and they need to keep about 50 yards away from that saltwater marsh, because they're encroaching on that habitat, and they're scaring the birds. The birds using it vital energy that they need to survive the winter with. And I've also seen jet skiers going around there when the tide's in as well, completely trashing the area. So, and I don't blame the dog walkers, because the knowledge is not there. They don't realise that it's such an important habitat for our wading birds. So once that knowledge is out there, once we put the information boards out there, once we tell people to keep at least 50 yards away from the saltwater marsh, then people will support it.
Amazing. Well, hopefully we'll follow this story as more progress happens. But Rob from Barry Action for Nature, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to sport, and with all the latest from around the Vale, here's Jamie Pritchard.
Thanks, Nathan. We'll start with football, where just 1 point separates third from sixth in the Cymru Premier after Barry tasted defeat in North Wales. Goals either side of half-time put the home side in the driving seat. But a consolation goal from Mikey George wasn't enough to get Barry back into the game, eventually losing 3-1 to Colwyn Bay. Barry next face Carnarvon Town at Jenner Park. That's this Saturday, kicking off at 2:30. For Llantwit Major, they welcomed Ammanford last Saturday in a thrilling 5-goal game, which saw Llantwit lose 3-2, leaving them sitting 7th in the JD Cymru South table. They next travel to Avon Lido on Friday, with that game kicking off at 7:30. Meanwhile, Craig Bellamy has underlined Harry Wilson's importance to Wales by describing the Fulham attacking midfielder as a player his team cannot afford to lose. Wilson has been in sparkling form for club and country this season, scoring 9 goals and providing 6 assists in the Premier League. The 28-year-old has also been outstanding for Wales for a sustained period, with 12 of his 17 career international goals coming in the past 3 years. Bellamy's side face Bosnia-Herzegovina in a World Cup playoff semi-final at the Cardiff City Stadium next Thursday, that's the 26th of March, with the winners hosting Italy or Northern Ireland in the final 5 days later. In rugby, Barry RFC are back in action after the Six Nations break, resuming their battle to avoid relegation from the Admiral Nation League Division 1 East Central, with Caerphilly visiting the Reservoir Field on Saturday. The Bombers will also be seeking revenge for a 22-17 defeat in their last match at Caerphilly on February 28th, when they went down to a late try from the home side. If you've been scrolling through Instagram today, you might have spotted a post from the club sharing the news that the former Barry RFC player Harvey Bryant had been capped for the Wales under-18s against Italy. Harvey's now playing his trade with Cardiff Rugby, continuing his journey to the next level. Harvey, who's the son of former Barry RFC coach Jonathan Bryant, also represented Wales. Sam Bryant and George Thomas were also selected. Meanwhile, there's been a little bit of a lull since Penarth eased past Llanyssion a fortnight ago, but the unfolding story of the promotion race in Division 1 East Central has continued apace. The Seasiders had already relinquished top spot to Llanharan in the middle of February, and the Dairymen had moved further ahead with another 2 wins since. Penarth face 3 away games in 8 days, starting in Rhydfelyn at the Rec on Saturday. And as plans progress for an all-new weather pitch, Barry Rugby Football Club has put forward a proposal to relocate a public right-of-way across the reservoir fields, following feedback from local residents during a recent community consultation event. The club has been working with the Vale Glamorgan Council Countryside Access team to develop a potential new route that would maintain public access across the fields whilst addressing safety concerns raised by residents living close to the club. The proposed diversion would create a walking route connecting Hardy Close to Pendine Close, preserving a popular path used by walkers and dog walkers alike, whilst moving the route away from the club's main entrance, clubhouse and car park. There's more news and sports on our website at broradio.fm, and Mike is here every Monday night from 7 with Monday Night Sport.
You're listening to The Vale This Week on Bro Radio. Now, Penarth Pier Pavilion has announced that cinema will go full-time from this month. Ahead of a busy Easter holidays, Gareth Richards went along to find out more.
In the last week, Penarth Pier has announced that its cinema will go full-time, showing 15 shows over 5 days a week from this month. In 2021, Vale of Glamorgan Council took over the running of the pier, with a team of staff within its library and cultural services team expanding the offering. Max Martin is the cinematic events assistant who's been leading on the project and told us about the work that's been undertaken to date.
So the council took it over in 2021 and we used the venue as a gallery space, an events venue, so we do like live music events, cabaret nights, and then it's a wedding venue as well, and then we use here as a cinema, so 66 seats, and we've got a 4K projector and surround sound, so you got a really nice image here. And then so I started in May part-time and I was made full-time in November, which meant we could go to 5 days a week at the start of this year. So we're running a minimum of 16 showings a week at the moment. We've had some great responses from the community. I think it's something that people have wanted to see for quite a long time, and it's great seeing all the positive responses from people. I think people love having a proper cinema in Penarth and in the Vale of Glamorgan. And it's something that I think the people have wanted for a long time, something they can do on a rainy day, and they know that it's going to be there for the long run.
Whilst there are other cinemas nearby, the team are working to give Penarth Pier Pavilion Cinema its own unique selling point.
At the moment, the nearest cinemas are Cardiff, and then there's the Memo in Barry, and then you're looking at Bridgend and Caerphilly otherwise. So it's nice having this space here where people can come to, and I know they're going to get a nice variety of smaller independent foreign language features, but also the big blockbusters. So we've got Hoppers coming in, the Easter Holidays, The Magic Faraway Tree, and then we're currently screening the new Peaky Blinders film and also the Elvis documentary directed by Baz Luhrmann. So I feel like we've got a really nice opportunity here to be that nice blend, that middle ground between art house and multiplex. So I want to be showing smaller independent features, art house features, like we've got a really exciting film, Resurrection, coming up, which is a Chinese film that's an epic in every sense of the word. But I also want to show the more modern mainstream films. So we've had things like Wuthering Heights, Hamlet, that people have enjoyed. And I feel like we've got a really nice opportunity to be that happy place where we can be both, the best of both worlds, basically. And we want to be the venue that people come to. So I think we've got a really lovely location on the seafront that I really want to utilise. And make this place the best place for people to come to for the cinema. So not just the films that we show, but also the experience. So letting people have glasses of wine when they sit down, a wide variety of snacks, coming in and having a bright, decorated, retro-esque feel to the place is really key for me, and I want this to be the best experience for people coming.
It's now believed that the cinema going full-time, along with other activities at the pier, will support arts and culture activities right across the Vale of Glamorgan.
So we support lots of local artists with our exhibitions. So we've got Buggin at the moment, where he's from Llantwit, I believe. But also we're looking at promoting local filmmakers. We're hoping to do some Welsh features coming soon, so we've got a few exciting Welsh language films, such as Effie O'Bly now, and then we've also got Mad Fabulous coming, both of which are Welsh-made films. So we're hoping to support Welsh language features and getting people interested in Welsh-made films, but also films from different parts of the world that they can experience all different types of cultures.
And with the Easter holidays approaching, a full schedule has been organised to suit all ages and families.
So we've got Hoppers in for both weeks of the holidays, which is the new Disney Pixar film with voices such as Meryl Streep and James Franco in it. It's a lovely story of togetherness, and it's quite funny and quirky, and it's one that's not just children are going to enjoy, but also adults who are bringing their kids to the film. And then in the second week, we've also got the Magic Faraway Tree, which is an adaptation of an Enid Blyton book, which I know our libraries are also looking forward to having that in as such a key children's text, which we're also looking forward to. It's got the writer of the Paddington film, so we're expecting that to be a one that people are really going to enjoy. So we've got a new ticketing platform which we're really excited about called TicketSolve. So if you search penarthpierpavilion.ticketsolve.com, that will take us to our events page. So you can find all our cinema tickets on there, but also our other events such as our art history talks, our cabaret nights, and a lot more of the live music events. You can find everything on there.
You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio, a week-long campaign. You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio. Now, a week-long campaign is taking place in Llantwit Major, leading to a one-day makeover this Saturday. Edward Trout has been at Llantwit Major Rugby Club today to find out more.
The hands-on one-week town boost programme in Llantwit Major aims to turn local ideas into real action, driven by local people. After an information event on Tuesday at Lantonian Hall and a planning day at Llantwit Major Rugby Club, work is now taking place towards the one-day makeover on Saturday the 21st of March. The idea for the week-long campaign comes from Australia and was created by David English and Creative Communities.
I got my start in this business in 1987 when a highway department decided to widen a road through our community. I was involved in the community fight against that, got me interested in how the design of public spaces impacts community life, wrote a little book about it. Next thing I was travelling all over the world as some kind of guru. A long period of time we developed a process we called the 7-day makeover, which is where we make over entire town centres in 7 days, and that includes all of the planning. So no meetings outside of that. And then about 12 months ago, we started experimenting with even shorter time frames, trying to make or do something significant in a town centre in a day, or even in some cases 4 hours, on very, very small budgets. The Welsh Government heard about it and they said, we'd love to trial it here in Wales in 3 towns. Here we are.
Llantwit Major is one of 3 towns to take part in the programme. Work has been undertaken with the Vale of Glamorgan Council, who are a partner in the campaign. Cuifa is a Community Development Officer at the Vale Council.
Fortunate enough to be one of, we're in Llantwit Major, we're one of 3 towns that were chosen for the Town Booster programme, which is a programme that's originated in Australia. So we've got a lead consultant who's coming from Australia, David Enwich, and he's run some really successful community projects across Australia and New Zealand, and essentially Town Booster programs are about creating a local catalyst within your community by engaging community and local businesses to take ownership and I guess activate a part of their town, and to do some really exciting things which I guess bring people together, increase football, and essentially boost the town. We were given the opportunity but with quite a short time frame. So this is a really exciting opportunity. So one of our key challenges has been about mobilising and kind of coming together to drive the project. And we've had really positive engagement from local businesses and local community to drive the process.
Peter Dickinson is a councillor on Llantwit Major Council and is leading on placemaking in the town.
Within council, I'd heard about the Boost project when the Vale of Glamorgan approached us to see if we'd be interested in doing it, so we said yes. Because I've been involved in placemaking, this is a sort of continuation of placemaking. Placemaking identified 4 areas in Llantwit which would benefit from changing. Becoming more welcoming to visitors, more welcoming for people within the town. And the Boost project is a sort of extension of that, but within a very short time. So it was nice to have it be introduced to it, to introduce to the background to it, and actually what it may mean for the town within what is a relatively short period of time. Yeah, the 4 areas were looking at the town square where the cenotaph is. Secondly, the beach, which is felt to be very much underused, and quite a lot of people, even in Llantwit, don't realise we've got a beach, never mind visitors. The third area was to look at the the rail station and the entry to the town. And the fourth one is to actually look at the area here, actually, between the rugby club and the Lantonian Hall, and start a project there, which is actually started and is almost completed.
The project aims to get local people to share their ideas and help in delivering the final project. One of those involved to date is local resident Andrew Horton, who attended both the information night and today's planning event.
We had a talk through last night in Lantonian Hall, which was explaining everything that's going to happen, because obviously it did feel a bit suspicious initially when, some couple of Australian people come and say, we're going to do this, that and the other. But yeah, it's good. Now that we know that the council's involved as well, the Vale Council, and yeah, it's a really exciting project. I kind of knew anyway that there's a fantastic community spirit in Llantwit. It's brilliant. It's one of the things we love about Llantwit is that people get together, people organise, people do some wonderful things here. But this has been really good in that all these people have got together, and we can actually give something back to the town. We can do something for the town, make the town centre a better place, maybe. Obviously, this small 1 day or 7-day project, I think it is, isn't it? Really, so including all the planning, but it's all going to be done over 1 day. So that obviously it will be the catalyst that we hope anyway, or I hope, put it that way, that it's going to be the catalyst that sparks other community events, other things that are going to benefit the town from a visual and a social point of view. So we make the town look a bit better. We make the town a bit more social. We make the town, a better place to come and visit and come and stay, and come and stay in the town centre. It's going to, hopefully encourage a bit more trade. Who knows? More people going to the, more people finding out about what Llantwit has to offer. As we are a little bit off the beaten track, really. So, we're not Cowbridge, we're not Porthcawl, we're in between there. So, and it's got a lot to offer. There's so much here.
Those looking to get involved in the final project on Saturday, 21st of March, and other activities can find out more by searching for Llantwit Major Boost online.
Before we wrap up today's show, let's get a roundup of local events in the Vale of Glamorgan with more. Here's Charlie Greatrex.
Starting on Thursday 19th of March, where the Butterfly Conservation Group is leading 2 walks on Old Castle Down, exploring spring wildlife. The site is home to Wales' rarest butterfly and many other special things, with spring being a perfect time to discover these. The first walk is at 2 p.m. on Thursday 19th of March, with a second at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday 21st. Described as enchanting, smart and submersive, Cleopatra is a must-read new novel from Sarah Ella Reefy, with a special event taking place at Penarth Pier, delving into the book and the author, being organised at Penarth Pier from 7:30 p.m. on Thursday 19th. On Saturday 21st, Barry Town Council is hosting its latest community litter pick, taking place at Cemetery Lane. It's free to attend, but you need to sign up, so there are enough refreshments for all. It'll run from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Also, on Saturday, St David's Church in Barry is hosting an Easter Family Fun Day, with pre-loved uniforms, free Teddy Tombola, Easter crafts and egg trail, plus so much more. It's running from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the church on Winston Road. Also on Saturday, Penarth Conservative Club presents The Cheetles, described as one of the finest Beatles tribute acts and previously playing at the 2024 Hollywood Oscars. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. with tickets at £15 per person. On Sunday, Merch Community Centre in Dinas Powys is hosting a Nature on Your Doorstep event. It's a free, family-friendly afternoon celebrating wildlife outside your home and finding ways to encourage more. The event runs from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Also in Dinas Powys on Sunday, First Dinas Scout Group are holding an all things kids sale with lots of second-hand items available to pick up. from High Walls Road between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Entry is £1, with children free and all money raised supporting the group's work. And Friends of Barry Beaches are hosting a litter pick at Porthkerry Country Park, running from 3 p.m. from the forest edge. All are welcome, with bags, hoops and litter pickers provided. And finally, on Wednesday 25th, discover the story of Gwen, an anxious polar bear who wakes up on a broken ice cap hundreds of miles from home. Fusing puppetry, music and visual storytelling, showing how to find confidence in yourself. It's at the Memo Art Centre with 2 showings on the 25th of March. And as always, you can find out more about the events at broradio.fm/events, where you can also list your event for free.
And that was the Vale This Week from Bro Radio. Over the coming weeks, we'll bring you more about the Senedd election and the candidates looking to represent you in the Senedd this May. If you've got a story that you want us to share in the meantime, though, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@broradio.fm, or you can find us on social media. Thanks for listening, and you can join us again next Wednesday at 7 on Bro Radio, or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.